Well, fabulous talk this afternoon, Christine. You're a superstar. Everyone was like really, really buzzed about the great advice you gave us around the venture industry. And I'm particularly interested in women and the shortage of funding for women, and that there's not many women that do get funded or are even interested in getting funded. I know that's changed in the last couple of years I've been doing this. But I'm wondering if you've got any observations about that. Obviously, you used to work for First Round Capital, and you would have seen a lot of seed investments there. And whether you would have some advice for women that are thinking of raising venture capital.
Well, I think there's a bunch of questions in there.
Yeah.
So, from the access point of view, I do believe that a woman has relatively equal access to just get that introduction, or to walk up to someone at an event and introduce themselves and evangelize what they're working on.
Right.
I also believe that women tend to hold back a bit on sort of being as aggressive in pushing forward what the business concept is, and being confident about how much success or how much traction they've managed to develop so far. I had a very interesting conversation with one of the founders that's on the 500 Startups, now alumni group from their accelerator. And so she was going through funding, wanted some help with the pitch, so she came by to my house on a Friday afternoon. And she walks in, sits down, and she said to me, I'm really disappointed. I'm going out. I'm trying to raise $600,000, and I've only raised $300,000, so I have a lot left to go. And I just sort of like, before we go any farther, like, do you realize what a ridiculous positioning that is? You just said to me, it's like, if you were a man, you would have walked in, sat down, and said, you know what? I'm raising $600,000, and you need to hurry up because I've already given away half. Right, it's like, it is a very different point of view, and and this may be a bit cheeky, but the analogy I used with her at the time was like, look, if you try on a pair of jeans and it fits, it doesn't fit quite right? Like, say the bottom is too tight or the waist is too loose, so if you get the waist to fit, then the bottom is too tight, or so forth. It's like, there are two ways of looking at that situation.
Yeah.
Is your butt too big, or is your waist too small?
Very good.
Right, and I said, I think one of the problems is that we all need to say, our waist is too small.
Yes.
Our waist is too small. I've already committed half of my round. You need to step up. Have a sense of urgency about the other half, not this sense of desperation that hasn't been taken yet.
And that's definitely how the guys would look at it. Right?
The guys would definitely.
Yeah.
No doubt. The men would come in and say, it's already half gone, you need to hurry.
They never say their butts are too big.
Yeah, they never say their butts are too big. So it's a little tongue-in-cheek, and maybe not for mixed company, but to me, that is the analogy, is learning to appreciate when you've achieved those milestones, and be not only cheer yourself on or cheer your team on, but also say to someone else, hey, you are missing the boat if you are not participating in this. And that is a skill that I see many entrepreneurs develop, and it's certainly the personality of certain accelerators. So I don't know a single Y Combinator entrepreneur, for example, who doesn't go out and have that confidence about, I'm going out, I'm raising my rounds, you need to get on the boat or miss it.
And what would you suggest? It's a really good point, and I see the same thing.
Yeah.
What would you suggest is a good way of building that that confidence, and starting to assert yourself, really?
Right. I heard about, and I don't know if this is necessarily the right thing to do, but it gets to the point.
Yeah.
I've heard of folks that help people learn to hear no, where you go to an event and your job is to pitch and be told no, and to tell people no when they pitch you.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a fantastic, basically, yes, rejection therapy. It's like, and it's okay.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's okay to be told no. It's okay to not please everyone, because what you have to do, and like what your company does, is not going to be a fit for everyone. And again, that's fine. The only way you are going to navigate the funding landscape early on is to simply put it out there, be told no, and just make a point of when you're told no to ask for feedback and to ask for who is this fit for. Because if you don't triangulate, you're never going to get to the person that's going to say yes. And it's funny because I think that if you compare it to dating, there are certain similarities. You'll date a long time before you get married, and so you get a lot of no, you give a lot of no. But you don't often stop dating someone and get references for who your next date should be.
It's true.
Right,
yeah,
this is not how dating works,
Yeah.
but it is how funding works. And I know anytime I'm asked by a man or a woman for feedback, who else should I be talking to, I always try to come up with, good answers. And it's not saying that I will make the introduction necessarily, but I'm at least giving someone some insight into who should they be reaching out to. And if they want to ask me, I'll be honest about whether or not I feel comfortable giving the introduction. I often am at least comfortable saying, well, I'll pass it by and see if they're interested. And I do, right? And that's what most people do, right? Like, you don't, make a bunch of introductions directly without just checking to see if someone's interested. And most investors will do that. But I'm surprised by how few people just ask the obvious question of who else should I be talking to? Whether or not I'm interested, they should ask me that question. So.
And also even asking for the feedback as well.
Yeah.
Not just taking the no and running out.
Right. And since so few investors will say no in the meeting, they often say, oh, we'll get back to you, right? We'll send you an email, we'll give you a call. It's not reasonable to expect someone to make an on-the-spot decision. And there are times there's an immediate, okay, this is obviously a fit, let's go ahead and schedule it and not, circle around. But often people want to percolate a bit, right? Or throw the idea against the wall with someone else and sort of see how it sticks. But even in those situations, you can also say, do you have any quick feedback for me? Right. And what's interesting is I find that the entrepreneurs who ask me for that feedback will get a quicker, more decisive response from me because they are forcing me. It's like when you take notes.
Yeah.
Just the practice of taking the notes will force you to have a takeaway.
Yeah.
As versus go, let me think about it, and you're kind of go back and forth and.
So they sort of pin you down, really.
Yeah. Well, and because you do have some. If you do this for a living, you're able to have a few observations, and so by making those observations up front, it goes, oh, those are the things that stood out.
Very good.
Very
good. That's fabulous. Thank you so much
for
your time
You're welcome.
today.